My name is Curt Johnson. I've been employed with the Department of Corrections since January 9th of 1974. I started my career at the prison in St. Cloud, where I worked for 20 years. I was a correctional officer there, a case manager, and a chemical dependency counselor. In 1993, I left the prison to community services and have been a parole officer since that date. Well, for one thing, it's more one-on-one work as a parole officer. In the prison, it was more group activities, monitoring large groups of people, which tended to cause more problems, of course, because of the mentality that inmates have when they're around one another to be macho. And so I would say the prison situation was more difficult. But as a parole officer, it's more unique because we're going into their homes, and we never know what we're going to run into in terms of domestic situations. Well, eventually, we don't know them at all until they get out on their release date. Basically, what happens is the case manager in the prison will send us a release plan about 3 months prior to them getting out, and that indicates whether they have a place to live, and if they don't, then it becomes our problem to try to figure out where to place them. I would say about 75% of the people do have a place to go, whether it be family, girlfriend, friend, and it's our job to investigate that placement and make sure we read them the rules that any of our clients that go there there can't be any alcohol, drugs, or weapons in the house, because if they're in that house, it will be considered theirs. And so that's basically the way it starts out. And the way it works is an offender comes out of prison with what's called conditions of release, which are very extensive. There's special conditions of release. For instance, sex offenders have conditions that are unique unto them. They can't have content or internet capabilities. They can't have any pornography. They can't have sexually explicit materials or any of that. Well, in our 6 counties, each county has different opportunities and programs. For instance, in Stearns County, there's a facility called the Dream Center that is primarily houses county GRH people.
What is GRH?
It's for people that have difficulty making it on their own, have mental health disabilities or whatever, but they have 3 buildings there, and the Department of Corrections contracts with the Dream Center for 5 beds. So if somebody's coming out of prison from Stearns County that is homeless, we typically place them there and give them 1 month to find other housing, or else the potential is there that if they're homeless after that 1 month, they will have to go to jail, because on our program you have to have a hardline phone and to be supervised, because they're on house arrest status. And if they don't have a place to live or a hardline phone, then our option is to bring them to jail. No. Sometimes, however, all of our beds aren't filled, so we do let them stay there until we need the bed for a new offender.
How long can they stay at the Dream Center?
Well, they can stay there typically until the beds are full, and the first person there has to leave at that point, and they're told that up front.
So they could stay there 30 days or maybe even up to several months, is that?
Yeah, we've had people that have stayed there up to 4 months.
Okay.
And in Wright County, we also lease a bed from a private homeowner, and that's outside of Monticello, and we can house up to 4 homeless offenders there. But in Candy, Ojai, and in Meeker County, we have no contracted leased beds, and the same with Benton and Sherburne County. So typically in those counties, if they don't have a place to live, they're going to go straight to jail, and then we'll have a hearing, and typically they have enough time until the hearing to find a place, or else they're going to be returned to the prison until they do find housing. Well, within the last year, the Department of Corrections has been able to secure funding for up to 3 months for rent for offenders coming out of prison, so they can help them get on their feet if a place can be found. We have developed a list of felon-friendly landlords in St. Cloud, Stearns County primarily. We do have some in Candy, Ojai, and Sherburne County, but not as many.
Conversely, do you find that going out into the county, into the rural areas, it's very difficult to find felon-friendly landlords?
Yes, it's more difficult in the other counties. St. Cloud, Stearns County is kind of a hub for services. There's the VA hospital. We get offenders that are vets that have no place to go and may have chemical dependency and mental health issues, and they can be released to the Veterans Hospital dual diagnosis program. And we have more treatment programming opportunities here. Some offenders are chemically dependent and are able to get what's called a Rule 25 evaluation, which is a chemical dependency evaluation through the county. And those offenders often are released to Recovery Plus in St. Cloud, and they have a condition of their release that they have to complete that program and any recommended aftercare. Well, it's there's a community-based grant program called Project Reentry, and that program has bought 3 houses in the St. Cloud community, and each house is able to house 4 to 5 people. And but they have very strict rules there. It has to be a sober house. They can't have people visiting there during non-visiting hours. Typically they're given a list of rules, and if they break them, they'll be given a warning if it's not a serious violation. But if it is, they can evict them right away, at which point they become homeless. And of course that's where we have to step in and issue a warrant and place them in custody.
Mm-hmm. Are there other programs?
Well, one time we used what's called one-quarter way housing in Meeker County. We had a level 3 sex offender that was ordered released by the courts because he had been sitting in prison with no place to live, and he had won a court case. So I went to the Meeker County Sheriff and asked if he could stay at the jail at night, and we'd let him out during the day to find work. And that turned out to be successful, at least initially. He was able to find a job and his own place to live eventually, but all the other county sheriffs do not want any part of. Well, we go through all of our resources in each county prior to an offender getting out. Before they get out, if they're homeless, if nothing is found, like I said, the alternative is going to jail. Essentially, the onus is on the case manager and the offender in the institution to come up with a release plan. Like I said, in Stearns County, if there's no placement plan, then we just pencil him in at the Dream Center if he's homeless, which is easy. I wish that we had that in every county, but unfortunately at this point we don't.